I just wanted to be loved. Chapter 1. Meet Arya. Let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm Arya, an 11th grade student. I've always been good at studies. You could say I'm a topper. But I don't have any friends. Not anymore. Not after the betrayal. There was a time when I thought I had someone I could trust. She was my best friend, or so I believed. We laughed together, ate together, shared our dreams. But all along, she was just using me. For my money, for my name, for the fame that came from being Arya's friend. Behind my back, she spread the cruelest rumors that I treated her like a slave. A slave. When I found out, my world shattered. I ended our friendship that very moment. Since then, I've kept my distance. People show their true colors eventually, and I've seen enough. But if there's one thing I still hold close to my heart, it's my family. My mother, the queen of the fashion world. My father, a textile tycoon. They're both powerful, respected, and rarely home. Business always calls. Meetings, flights, parties. Still, I love them deeply. I long for those rare moments we get together. And today was one of those rare days. It was their wedding anniversary, and for once, we were going to have breakfast together. I rushed downstairs, my school bag swinging behind me. There they were, dressed sharply for yet another business trip. But this time, they were at the table, waiting for me. Smiling. So, when will you guys come back? I asked, trying to hide the disappointment in my voice. My mom reached out, brushing a strand of hair from my face. In a week, baby. What do you want? I'll bring you something from Italy. I couldn't help but be dramatic. A big cheese wheel, like the ones in cartoons. We all laughed. Princess, we'll be back soon, Dad said, standing up and adjusting his suit. Don't turn the house into a war zone while we're gone. Be good. I saluted him with a grin. Aye, Captain. They left. I went to school. School is a battlefield. Every single day, I get into fights. Not because I want to, but because they push me. They're jealous. Jealous of my SUV, my branded shoes, my designer bag. They say I'm arrogant, but they've never tried to know me. 1 week later, another fight, another scratch, another bruise. I stormed into the house, furious, face burning with pain and embarrassment. But just as I closed the door, their voices, they were home. No, no, no. If they saw me like this, I get a lecture. A long one, on behavior, on image, on how I shouldn't lower myself. I ran upstairs, bolting into my room, burying myself under my blanket just as the door creaked open. Princess, what happened? Dad's voice was soft, concerned. Nothing, Dad, I just want to sleep. I kept my face hidden. There was silence. I thought he left, but then, I peeked out, and there he was. Still in the room. What is this, Arya? You shouldn't fight. I wasn't fighting. They started it. I just ended it. My voice cracked. He sighed, walking over to sit beside me. Okay, I'll take you to my friend's farmhouse this Sunday. Just you and me. Some peace. Some time together. My heart fluttered. Just me and Dad. A rare smile crept onto my face. Maybe, just maybe, I could still be someone's princess. Chapter 2. Meeting him. The sun was gentle that morning, like it too knew today was special. I wore a soft pink floral dress, one that fluttered just a little when I walked. Not too fancy, not too plain, just enough to say, I exist, and I'm adorable. I even braided my hair into 2 loose plaits, letting a few strands fall casually around my face. Cute, definitely. Dad and I drove through the countryside, the city slowly vanishing behind us. Trees lined the road, birds chirped in freedom, so unlike my school. I didn't know what to expect, but I was excited. Spending a full day with Dad. That itself was rare, and now I'd get to meet his old friend at his farmhouse. When we arrived, I gasped. The farmhouse wasn't a house. It was a kingdom. A white stone bungalow stood amidst acres of green, gardens bursting with sunflowers, orchards of guava and mango, greenhouses filled with exotic flowers. Far in the distance, I saw rows of vegetables in perfect order, and even a pond where ducks swam like they owned the place. There were animals too, cows, goats, rabbits, even a friendly golden retriever that came barking with joy. A man stepped out, tall with silver-streaked hair and warm eyes. Princess, meet your uncle and my old friend, Jagdish Malhotra, Dad said. I smiled brightly and gave a theatrical twirl. Namaste, uncle. I am Arya, a cute and pretty daughter of your amazing friend. They both burst out laughing. What an entrance. She's got your drama gene, Karan, Uncle Jagdish chuckled. As we chatted, admiring the farm, he walked in. And time paused. He was tall, dressed in a casual white shirt folded at the sleeves, and beige joggers. His hair tousled like he'd just gotten off a horse and probably had. But it was his eyes deep, almost unreadable, with a glint of mischief and that smile. That soft, perfect, earth-stopping smile. He came and stood beside Uncle. Meet my handsome son Aryansh, Uncle said with pride. Namaste, Uncle and cutie. I'm Aryansh, he said, grinning. My cheeks burned. Namaste, I'm Arya, I murmured, almost whispering. Dad and Uncle exchanged knowing glances. Uncle Jagdish told Aryansh to show me around the farm, and off we went. He walked beside me, hands in his pockets, relaxed and confident. We fed the cows, played with a baby goat named Mishri, climbed a mango tree, and even picked strawberries straight from the patch. At one point, I rode a horse well, tried to. I squealed, clutched the reins, and almost slid off, but Aryansh held the horse steady with one hand, laughing, princess in distress. We laughed a lot. As we sat beneath a neem tree, sharing guavas and silly stories, I opened up. I told him how I didn't have any friends. About the betrayal, the loneliness. He listened, truly listened. Then he looked at me, with the sincerity of someone older than his years. Want a real friend? I volunteer. I'm free of cost. Limited offer, no expiry. I blinked, then smiled. I accept. Terms and conditions apply. We both burst into laughter. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Lightness, joy. Later that evening, back at home, I threw myself on the couch and dramatically wailed. Moom, guess what happened? It was magical, epic, like a movie. She looked up from her laptop, raising an eyebrow. What now, Arya? Did a cow chase you? Worse. A boy smiled at me. With dimples. I almost died. Oh dear. Shall I call the ambulance or your future in-laws? Don't joke. I rode a horse. Almost fell. He saved me. Like a hero. Was he riding a white horse too? Bollywood is shaking. Mom, focus. His name is Aryansh. Tall, handsome, kind, and listens. That's dangerous. Boys who listen are rare. Handle with care. He asked to be my friend. A real one. Can you believe it? Should I get cake? You made a friend. Is the world ending? Moom, stop. But yes, maybe. He's different. Is he rich, cute, polite, and doesn't say, bro, every 2 seconds? Yes to all. Also, he eats fruit straight from trees. He's raw, like nature boy. Sounds like Tarzan with better hair. He told me to try again to make friends. He made it sound so easy. Because it is, if you let people in. Not everyone wants to hurt you, Arya. Yeah, maybe I'll try. But no guarantees. Trying is enough. Also, you're blushing. Should I be worried? Moom, I'm just happy. Okay, for the first time in forever. I'm happy. Chapter 3, Unexpected Turn. The morning started like any other. I pulled on my school uniform, lazily combed my hair into a quick braid, and trudged downstairs, rubbing sleep from my eyes. The house was unusually quiet, no sizzling from the kitchen. No warm voice of mum scolding dad for leaving without breakfast. They'd already left for work. I shrugged it off. Normal day, I thought. Or so I believed. School was oddly uneventful, even boring. No taunts, no sudden announcements, no pranks, nothing. Just a quiet, dragging day. As I stepped into the auto and leaned back, my head resting on the cold steel bar, I had no idea that my life as I knew it was about to end. When I reached home, something felt off immediately. The gate was wide open. And cars. So many black cars lined up, sleek, intimidating, unfamiliar. My heart skipped. I ran inside, dropping my bag on the porch. What I saw next didn't just break my heart, it shattered my entire soul. There, inside my living room, my papa lay bloodied and half-conscious on the ground. Men in black surrounded him. My mother, my soft-spoken, warm, smiling mother, was tied to a chair, her face bruised, blood dripping from the corner of her mouth. I froze. Every cell in my body screamed. Papa! I shrieked and ran to him, but 2 men caught me roughly by the arms. Let me go, let me go. I thrashed, but they held tight. My sobs choked me as I looked at the man sitting coolly on our sofa, legs crossed, sipping tea like this was a casual visit. I knew that face. Pratik uncle. My voice trembled, disbelief and betrayal flooding me. What is happening? My father's voice, hoarse and faint, rose through the air. Leave my wife and daughter, Pratik. Please. Pratik laughed. A cold, dead laugh. Now you beg. When I warned you to stay away from my underworld business, you threatened to go to the police. You wanted to be a hero, Karan. Heroes die early. You said you were my friend. Papa screamed, trying to crawl to Mum. I was. Until you became a liability, Pratik smirked. And liabilities get eliminated. I struggled harder. You can't do this. Help. Someone help us. He came closer. No one's coming, little Arya. You see, your papa was going to hand me over to the police. I can't have that. After tonight, the world will believe he died in a tragic car accident. And you? His eyes scanned me coldly. You'll fetch a good price in the black market. Young girls like you are in high demand. Papa roared, don't you dare touch her. I'll kill you. Pratik tilted his head mockingly. You're already dead, Karan. You just don't know it yet. My mother sobbed, please, please don't hurt our daughter. We'll give you everything, the shares, the properties. But mercy had no place in Pratik's heart. You had your chance, he said. Then, without a flicker of hesitation, he nodded. One of the men grabbed a rod and struck Papa across the back. I screamed as he crumbled. Another pulled out a gun and bang. The sound tore through my heart. My father collapsed, eyes wide open, lifeless. No, Papa, shoot the woman, Pratik ordered. Bang, Ma. My voice died in my throat. I was breathless, collapsing in my captor's grip. Their bodies lay still, lifeless, broken. My cries echoed in vain. Please, please, not my parents. I'll do anything, please. The world spun. I couldn't breathe. Darkness surrounded me, swallowed me whole. I woke up hours later, my head throbbing, wrists tied, lips dry. I was being dragged, thrown into a truck like cattle. I realized what they were going to do. Sell me, but I wasn't going to let that happen. As they paused for smoke break, I faked unconsciousness. When one guard untied my legs, I kicked hard, hitting his face. He screamed. I darted. My heart pounded. The forest behind our house, I ran into it, barefoot, cuts forming on my feet, thorns tearing my skin. I heard gunshots behind me. They were chasing, but God gave me wings that day. After what felt like hours of running and hiding, I reached the main road. A truck came by. I jumped in front of it, screaming for help. The driver, shocked, took me in. I have to go to Jagdish uncle. Please. When I reached his house, I collapsed into his arms, sobbing hysterically. Uncle, Papa, Mama, Pratik uncle, dead, he shot them. He took me inside immediately. His hands trembled as he hugged me. Sage beta, I'm here. I'm here now, but you must not tell anyone what happened. For your safety, let the world believe it was an accident. I nodded slowly. I was too numb to protest. The next morning, the news screamed. Karan Khurana and Janvi Khurana dead in tragic car crash. I watched the TV with blank eyes. Lies, all lies. Uncle Jagdish announced that I would now live with them. I agreed. What else could I do? I was broken, hollow. Aryansh welcomed me with a soft smile and gentle eyes. He comforted me, unaware of the horror I'd seen. His mother hugged me, promising I was safe now. But safety was an illusion. Days passed. I tried to adjust, but I wasn't the same Arya. I threw tantrums, snapped at people, cried over small things. Jagdish uncle and Aryansh understood. They defended me. But auntie, she began to despise me. She's too stubborn, she'd mutter. So dramatic, so spoiled. And the servants, they whispered behind my back, thinking I wouldn't hear. Servant 1, this Arya girl is a headache. Always shouting. Servant 2, exactly. She acts like she owns the house. One day, I caught them red-handed. You two think I can't hear, huh? Talking behind my back. Well, if you can gossip like aunties, be ready for a reply. I lashed out, eyes burning. They snapped back. You are just a burden here. We liked this house peaceful before you came. Just then, auntie appeared. What is happening here? They started it. I yelled. She insulted us. The servants whined. The argument flared. Voices rose. Words flew like knives. Auntie's eyes narrowed. This is my house, Arya. Learn to behave or leave. But Jagdish uncle walked in. She's my guest. She stays. End of discussion. And Aryansh stepped beside me, silently placing a comforting hand on my shoulder. That moment, I realized my fight had only just begun. Chapter 4 started to fall for him. I never imagined I'd go back to school after that night. But uncle kept his promise. He got me admitted to one of the best schools in their town. It wasn't easy, I still struggled to trust people. But Aryansh, he stayed with me every step of the way. He comforted me when I cried, helped me with homework I didn't understand, even scolded me softly when I threw tantrums. And the way he smiled at me after scolding. Oof, I didn't know when, but I had started falling for him. Arya, making friends as an art. He said once, dramatically standing like a professor. I'll teach you 100 ways, how to make friends, Aryansh style. I won't make any friends. I pouted. People cause pain. So, am I a pain then? He raised an eyebrow, smirking. Mum, you're kinda cute, so fine, exception granted. I blushed. That was the beginning of me, slowly opening up. Of me, falling harder than I ever expected. Everything was going just fine until she entered. Vanshikha, the daughter of one of uncle's old village friends. Pretty, smart, sharp like a knife, always hanging around Aryansh like a lost puppy who thought she was a lioness. She had known him since childhood, but thank God he only saw her as a sister. But भैया, वो तो कुछ और high script में थी. Every day, she'd find some excuse to land at our house. Auntie had asked who could. Uncle had forgotten his file. Aryansh, your pen ended up in my bag. Yeah, not just the pen, your whole life went into that bag, right? One day, Aryansh came home with his group of friends. 5 of them, all cool, chill, laughing types. Among them was her Meera. Simple, soft-spoken, cute dimples, and dangerously polite. My sixth sense screamed, threat detected. Arya, Aryansh smiled. These are my friends, and this is Meera. Hi Arya, Meera smiled warmly. I forced a grin, but inside, I was screaming like a Bollywood heroine in a tornado. We all went for a walk around the farm. The sun was soft, birds were singing, and the wind. Well, it clearly was in Aryansh and Meera's favor. Aryansh kept trying to talk to her, subtly walking beside her, brushing his hand near hers, throwing small smiles. But guess who kept inserting herself like Wi-Fi in a remote village? Me. Aryansh, uncle is calling you. I'd say and drag him. Meera, did you see that jamun tree? I'd yell and run ahead, blocking their path. Aryansh tried to sit next to Meera, I sat in between. He passed water to her, I drank it all. Arya, he said, whisper shouting. What are you doing? Saving your life, I whispered back. From falling in, mud. Meera just smiled, calm as ever. Why was she not angry? How could someone be this kind? Then entered Vanshikha. Oh God, if Meera was the calm before the storm, Vanshikha was the storm wearing mascara. She came skipping with homemade cookies. Aryansh, I baked your favorite choco almonds. I snatched the box before he could even blink, took one, chewed and loudly said, did you put mud in this? And spat it near the bush. Vanshikha's eyes turned red. You rude little, I'm honest. Try it sometime, I smirked. She pulled my hand. Who are you? When did you come into this house? And why are you so close to Aryansh? I crossed my arms. I'm Arya. This house is mine too now. And Aryansh, he's my friend. Suddenly it turned into a Saas Bahu serial. She slapped my hand, I slapped her back. She pulled my braid, I pulled hers harder. Aryansh and his friends came running. Stop it you two, Aryansh shouted. Enough, both of you. His friend Rishi said, laughing. Is this wrestling or the grand finale of a love triangle fight? Aryansh came in the middle. Arya, Vanshikha, this is not a boxing ring. I'm defending my territory. I snapped. She's attacking without reason. Vanshikha screamed. Meera sighed. Guys, maybe we can all be friends. No, I said. I'm not here to be anyone's friend. Especially her. After the drama cooled, Aryansh walked beside me as we strolled through the mango trees. The golden light played on the leaves. The silence was sweet until he whispered, "You don't need to fight for my attention." I looked at him. "Then stop giving it to Mira." He laughed softly. "Jealous ho." I looked away, hiding my smile. "No, it's just that I'm possessive." He chuckled. "You're a handful, Arya. And you're my mess." He smiled, brushing a leaf from my hair. "Let's keep walking." And so we did. Him humming softly, me sneaking glances, and maybe, just maybe, I was already in love. Chapter 5. The Price of Desperation. Aryansh had changed. It wasn't loud or dramatic, it was silent. Cold, like a door closing gently, but firmly. He didn't look at me the same way anymore. No teasing glances, no quick smirks. Every time I tried to talk, he replied with a nod, or a short yes or no, and sometimes, he didn't even bother with words. I clung to excuses, like the time I went to him with a made-up math problem just to hear his voice. "Hey, Aryansh." I was stuck on this question, I said, holding out my notebook with hands that trembled slightly. He looked at it, then looked at me expressionless. "It's basic integration. You already know this, Arya. I'm busy. Please don't disturb me." That please sliced deeper than a slap. It wasn't polite, it was a wall. I walked away, heart heavier than my school bag. Later, as I wandered through the corridor trying to hold myself together, I overheard something from behind the kitchen door. The maids were chatting, unaware that I stood outside. "You know, this Arya is too clingy," one said with a snort. "Always running behind Aryansh, causing drama at school. She doesn't belong here." Often or not, there's a limit to attention seeking. Laughter followed, bitter, cruel. I stormed inside, fury burning in my chest. "How dare you talk about me like that?" I shouted, eyes blazing. "Say it to my face if you have the guts." The maids looked shocked, stammering, backing away. Just then, Auntie entered, her expression twisted with disapproval. "What is this nonsense, Arya?" she snapped. "Why are you yelling at the staff like a maniac? They were insulting me, calling me clingy and unwanted." "You are acting like one," she said coldly. "You create scenes every day. I don't know why we even brought you into this house." Her words hit harder than the maid's laughter. And then, she did the unthinkable. She grabbed my school bag, my books, my clothes, and threw them across the hallway. "Go live in the servants' quarter if you can't behave with dignity," she shouted. Blinded by rage, I rushed into her room and started throwing her things too, her perfumes, saris, jewelry box, all crashing to the floor. "Arya, stop this madness," she screamed. "I won't. You treat me like trash. Then I'll be trash," I shouted back, my voice shaking. And then slap, my cheek stung as silence swallowed the room. Tears burst from my eyes as I stumbled back. She stood there breathing heavily, her hand still raised. I turned and ran, bumping into Aryansh in the corridor. "Arya, what happened?" His voice softened at the sight of my tear-streaked face. I fell into his arms, sobbing. She hit me," I whispered. He wrapped his arms around me gently. "Shush, breathe." Later that night, he came to my room, his face serious. "I know she crossed a line," he said quietly, "but you raised your voice too. And you threw her stuff. You have to apologize, Arya." I looked at him, stunned. "You are taking her side." "I'm asking you to do the right thing," he said firmly. "Even when it hurts." Reluctantly, I nodded and apologized. Auntie didn't say much, just gave a tight nod. But something had cracked inside me. That night, I curled on my bed, hugging my pillow. I missed my parents, my real home, my mother's lullaby, my father's laughter. My chest ached with longing as silent sobs racked my body. I buried my face into the blanket, pressing it against my mouth to muffle my cries, until exhaustion pulled me into a restless sleep. 2 days later, I heard Aryansh had a basketball match at college. I wasn't supposed to go, but I wanted to surprise him. I asked Mira if she could take me. "Will he be okay with it?" she asked. "I don't know," I whispered. "But I need to see him." She agreed. At the court, he looked breathtaking in his black jersey, sweat glistening on his forehead, muscles taut with effort. He hadn't seen me yet. I stood in the crowd, cheering quietly. "Go Aryansh," I shouted when he made the final shot. Our team won. After the match, I ran to him, my heart racing. Before he could speak, I threw my arms around him. "Congratulations," I smiled, breathless. You were amazing. Then, before fear could stop me, I said it aloud. I love you, Aryansh. And I kissed him. It was short, soft, but public. He pulled away instantly, eyes wide with horror. What the hell, Arya? He barked. What are you doing? I thought. He stepped back, his voice cold. I see you as my sister. That's it. Don't ever cross that line again. Then he walked away. I stood frozen. 8,000 eyes on me. Whispers, laughter, tears blurred my vision. Mira rushed to my side. It's okay, she whispered. It happens. Don't let this break you. You'll find someone who will love you one day truly. I nodded numbly, but Aryansh never looked at me the same again. He started avoiding me even more, talking less, walking with Vanshika now. She made sure I saw. She smirked one afternoon, twirling her hair. So, how's your love story going? She mocked. Mine's lovely. Aryansh and I had ice cream today. He said I was peaceful, not dramatic, like some girls. My hands clenched into fists. I said nothing, but my heart whispered, do something. Show them you're not a joke. 2 nights had passed since Aryansh stopped speaking to me properly. His every word had become a distant murmur, mechanical, cold, filtered through layers of detachment. Even when I tried talking to him, he'd answer with a nod or a clipped hum. His eyes, those warm, familiar eyes, no longer held the soft kindness they used to when he looked at me. Now they barely met mine. I wasn't stupid. I could see it. He was slipping away. No, not slipping, pulling away from me, deliberately, brick by brick, building a wall I couldn't climb. And that night, Mira's birthday night, I heard them laughing downstairs. Her friends, her little group of giggles and teasers. Aryansh's voice was among them. Lighter, carefree, like I didn't exist anymore. Like I was the ghost haunting this house. He came home late, close to midnight. The air was thick with the scent of whiskey and party perfume. Not drunk, but tipsy enough to make him slower, more relaxed, less guarded. I waited in the dark corner of the hallway, biting my lip, my heartbeat matching the ticking of the clock. This was it. I needed to do something big. Something unforgettable. He didn't even notice me as he entered his room, casually dropping his hoodie to the floor. The bathroom light clicked on. I waited, counted to 60, then slowly pushed his door open. My feet were trembling, but my resolve was steel. I stepped in just as he came out of the bathroom, towel slung around his shoulders, hair wet and glistening. Steam followed him like a ghost. He froze when he saw me. Arya, his eyebrows pulled together. What are you doing in my room? I didn't answer. I took a step closer. His eyes narrowed. You shouldn't be here. I reached out, took his hand. He pulled back instantly. What are you doing? He asked again, louder now. His voice edged with disbelief and confusion. I just want to talk, I whispered. Just once, please. But I didn't wait for his reply. My fingers went to the top buttons of my shirt, fumbling, trembling, and I undid them. 2 buttons fell open. My sleeve, one sharp tug and the seam gave way. I let my hair down, raked my fingers through it, disheveling it until it looked wild. Then, with a deep breath, I scratched my own cheek just lightly, enough to redden it. His eyes widened. Arya, what the hell are you doing? His voice was furious now. Panicked. Then I screamed, help, somebody please, help me. The sound echoed through the hallway like thunder. He froze. Footsteps came crashing. I backed away from him, letting tears spring to my eyes. I stumbled toward the door just as Jagdish uncle burst in, followed by auntie and 2 servants. They all saw me, torn shirt, messy hair, trembling body, face flushed. I ran to uncle, collapsed at his feet. He forced me. I sobbed. I love him but we aren't even married and he tried to, I couldn't finish. Gasps filled the room. Slap. Uncle's hand struck Aryansh's face so hard that his head jerked sideways. How dare you do this to the girl we raised like our own? He roared. She calls us Ma and Papa. And you? Auntie stood frozen, her eyes moving from me to her son, disbelief painting every feature. Aryansh looked shocked like someone had just pulled the floor from under him. No, I didn't do anything. I swear, you don't understand. You want to deny it now. Uncle shouted again, in front of all of us. Aryansh's face twisted, not with guilt, but with fury and betrayal. I have proof. He ran to his table, breath ragged, hands shaking as he opened his laptop. I forgot to turn off the project recording. It was still running in the background. Click. The room fell silent. On the screen, me entering his room. Him backing away. Him saying no. My actions. My setup. The scream. All of it. Uncle took a step back. Auntie gasped audibly, covering her mouth. One servant mumbled something under his breath and backed toward the door. The silence in the room wasn't just heavy, it was shattering. Then, slap. This time it wasn't arranged. Auntie had slapped me. What have you done? She whispered, voice trembling with disbelief. You lied. You manipulated all of us. We trusted you. I trusted you with my son. My face burned, not just from the sting, but from the shame crawling up every inch of me. I turned to look at Uncle, hoping, pleading, for some sympathy, some softness. But he just stared at me. Silent, cold. His disappointment spoke louder than any slap. I couldn't stand there another second. My breath hitched, and without a word, I ran. Out of the room, down the stairs, through the front door. The wind outside was cold against my burning skin. I kept running. Tears blurred the world around me as I stumbled into the night. The sound of my own scream echoed in my ears again and again until it twisted into sobs, guilt, and something far darker. Shame. I had tried to force someone to love me. And when he wouldn't, I tried to destroy him. But I hadn't just failed. I had burned everything I had ever known. Now, I was alone. Truly, terrifyingly alone.